One of them wanted to be the security guy. He claimed he was a security guy.
Welcome to a, Mr. Jarvis, what version do I have today? Detoxifying. A detoxifying version.
Yeah, I like
episode of Security Guy Radio.
Yeah, we can go with that.
How have you been?
I'm good.
I'm back from my exodus into the wild.
Really?
To Route 66 and all those stories I had.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when we came back we would shift up a little bit here and do something about personal health. Because to me, health, safety, security, personal safety, it's all tied together, right? I mean, if you're not healthy, that's not safe.
Right.
Think about it, right? And as you know, I am a type 2 diabetic, which means I can't eat certain food. I don't take medicine. I refuse to do it because that messes you up. Mm-hmm. So it's a struggle. I can only eat certain things. That's just the bottom line. And if I don't eat them and I eat other things, I go off a cocta. My body goes wacky. I don't sleep. It's, you keep your weight down, but it's a big challenge. And I really think that food contributes to a lot of people's problems for, emotions. And we've talked about this before with, family members who are crazy in the head. And I think it's because they eat Twinkies all day and all kinds of weird stuff, right? I'm not half kidding because, there's something about too much sugar and not enough protein and all that kind of thing in your diet. Mm-hmm. So a friend of mine from the Burbank Business Network said, hey, I'd like to do a show. And I said, I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. So we're going to talk to Sally Hallada today of Arbonne. And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just put the microphone a little closer to you there so we kind of talk into it. All right, there you go.
Okay.
So tell us what you do. You do a lot of different things, but tell us about Arbonne and how you focus on health and stuff.
Well, I came into Arbonne. Arbonne just celebrated their 36th anniversary yesterday. So I came in 18 years ago, and I started using the skincare products 23 years ago. And it was the philosophy of it that my skin was bad, and as a woman, you go shopping to all these department stores and you buy all these skincare products. And I just always assumed that it was my skin was bad, so that's why they didn't work. And when I started using Arbonne, a friend of mine was selling it. My skin cleared up. And when I researched a little about it, about the things that they weren't including in the products, I realized my skin was just having a reaction to what was in them.
Your skin is the largest organ. It's an organ.
It is.
In your body,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. And it absorbs all kinds of things and gets rid of all kinds of things. It gets rid of toxins and it absorbs toxins.
Yeah, and when Arbonne came around, when Petter Mork, our founder, he was Norwegian, and he was in the skincare business, and he saw that they were starting to add things like mineral oil, which is a byproduct of crude oil, and they were starting adding things.
Oh, it's not like from vegetables?
No, it's a byproduct from crude oil.
Okay.
It's funny that I know this because my dad worked for the Saudi Arabian oil companies. He was a consultant. And I knew that he worked on these things called gas oil separation plants. And they send that crude oil through the gas oil separation plant, and they take out things. And one of the things is like petroleum jelly, like Vaseline petroleum jelly. And then they take out mineral oil. They take out paraffin that goes in candles.
Candles are not old-fashioned pig fat anymore.
No. They got some of them are like if you go maybe to some farmer's market or
Whole
something.
Foods or something,
They're trying to do soy, which is that burns better. But if you burn a candle with paraffin in it, it's like having a smoker in your house.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really is just like burning. It's just a byproduct. So basically, we're taking care of the byproducts of crude oil. And so they put it in the skincare because it stabilizes it and it lets it sit in a warehouse for 7 to 10 years.
Turn your microphone a little bit, or pull it this way so we get it right. There you go.
There we go.
All right.
So it was funny how it's just how things happen that you start putting things together. And I looked and I went, well, I knew that from my dad. And then I realized, well, if your skin's an organ and you're smearing this stuff on your skin, you're
blocking absorption of all kinds of things.
Absorption, and you're blocking it from breathing.
From breathing, right? Interesting.
So and detoxifying. So my skin was so happy when I stopped doing that to it.
Well,
and it's inexpensive stuff, super expensive, $150. An ounce. These women's night creams and stuff like that. They put all of that stuff in. So that was
hold on. Let me back up now.
Yeah,
they put the byproducts in the expensive things?
Oh, absolutely.
What am I paying $150 for?
In the United States. Now, in Europe, it's not allowed.
Oh, but tell us why they do it.
Why they put it in the United States? Because it stabilizes it, and it sits in the warehouse so that this way the product won't go rancid.
Oh.
And then they put preservatives in it so it'll sit in the warehouse.
So what kind of shelf life does a $125 skincare?
7 to 10 years. And they have 7 to 10 year shelf life. And by law, the FDA requires that you put enough preservative in a product for 7 to 10 years if you're going to warehouse it. But because Arbonne doesn't have any warehouses, we have no warehouses. So it's manufactured and it's distributed out. So because we cut out all the middlemen, we don't put any of those harmful ingredients. They keep it preserved.
I didn't realize it was a preservative issue. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm a capitalist, okay? Mr. Jarvis, you know this. I got nothing against making money. Well, apparently I do because I'm in radio and I don't make any money. But had I been able to, you know, that makes sense. I mean, whether you want to shelve it, stock it up, sell it more, get more, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not a bad thing. And the byproducts from petroleum are better than wasting things if they use them for things. And those things have useful purposes, no doubt about it.
Plastics
Right.
and things like that. Sure.
Yeah. But when it comes to health, I think we need to focus on things like, you know, what's best for your body because that affects all aspects of your life. So I didn't know this about traditional, you know, byproducts.
It's just kind of everything gets kind of separated and skewed, and they don't realize what they're doing. And then they didn't think, they thought the skin was just kind of like a garbage. Like you just didn't think. Remember in Goldfinger when they sprayed her with gold?
Oh my God! I was just
paint?
gonna. That's one of the scariest things when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, why'd she die? My dad says, well, she suffocated. I said, well, no, she didn't. Her mouth wasn't blocked, and so her skin suffocated. I didn't get that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah,
and it was. If your organs, if your skin can't breathe, you die. Very interesting.
Yeah, James Bond was upset about it too.
Well, he was a little upset about that, wasn't he? That's right.
But it's true. If you're covering yourself with like petroleum jelly or mineral oil or everything like that, you're not going to die. But if you think about it over years, over 20 some odd years, you're keeping your skin from doing what it's supposed to.
Well, and I'm no doctor, and I've never even played one on the radio, but I'm thinking if you do that to your skin, then your skin's not helping your other organs do what it's supposed to do. Just a logical guess.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. And when Arbonne first came out, they thought we were a bunch of freaks. They were like, come on, it's not that important, blah, blah, blah. But what happens is now there's medications, right, that are patches.
Right.
That go into this.
Oh, that's very popular because it works better.
In your bloodstream in like 30 minutes.
So if I'm putting a bunch of stuff on my face and my skin, that's maybe getting into my bloodstream, right?
Yeah, 30 minutes. Yeah. Some things faster than others, but so if you want to have healthy ingredients and you want things to go in and nourish the skin, then you have to have a delivery system so that it goes to that. So that was what really first impressed me with Arbonne, and then I decided I wanted to do it for a living. And then we went into nutrition about 10 years ago. And so
I did not know that about your company, that they did nutrition.
Yeah, the first thing we decided was we weren't going to put any harmful ingredients in.
Right.
So the first thing we did was we made protein shakes, which is a popular item, but we made sure that there was no harmful ingredients. So we researched it, and so there's no dairy, no soy, no gluten, no whey. So whey is another one, like whey protein.
Whey's from cheese? What's whey from?
It's the extra. So when they take whole milk and make it into 2% and 1%, all that extra leftover, they make that's whey.
Oh, okay.
So they put that in the protein shakes. So there's questions about dairy cows and hormones and all that other stuff. So when they put those in the protein shakes, and it doesn't really process well in the body. So we use pea protein. And when we first came out with
hold on a second. Let's clarify that.
I know. That's what I was just going to say. When we first came out with it, we used to have to say pea protein, PEA.
Or split peas.
Yeah.
Split pea protein or something.
Well, now Dr. Oz, like 3 years ago, said pea protein's the best protein. And all of a sudden, everyone went crazy. And all these companies that were making the whey protein shakes and all those other ones were like, oh, we better have a pea protein option.
Right.
And the guys who were making the pea protein, were like inundated with orders. And we had like a delay in our shakes. And we were like, whoa, we've been buying your guys forever. But we always seem to be vindicated with that, And so we've come out with, so we have a detox tea, and we have all sorts of different nutrition items to help you. And then we've brought in nutritionists and things have joined the company, and they've put together a 30-day healthy living plan. So you basically eliminate a lot of ingredients, a lot of foods for 1 month, and then you reincorporate them to see if there's something that's giving you a problem. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you have
Yeah.
headaches, you know, whatever, or joint issues, when you reincorporate it, if that all starts coming back.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. So being diabetic, I thought, how did I get this way? What happened? You know, there's something about genetics. There's also a lot about what you eat.
Right, right.
And I started thinking I should just go back to eating when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, we had, 10 kids in the house and we were poor, and you basically had, pork chops and some beans, and you had hot dogs and some beans, and anything with beans. My dad made beans galore. He loved making beans in these crock pots, right? We didn't have Twinkies. We didn't have ice cream. I think breakfast was oatmeal, right? And I kept thinking about that, and I kept thinking how skinny everybody in the family was. And I thought it's because we were starving. No, because if you starve, you actually get fatter. If you're legally, technically starving, right?
Right, right.
And I started thinking, I'm going to eat like I ate when I was a kid. And I came up with this thing that I say to myself, and other people say something similar, but I use, if I cannot grow it or kill it, I don't eat it. And I started on that track because all my doctors said, we're going to put you on all this medicine and stuff, and it just made me sick, and I just did not react to it.
Right.
And I probably lost 30 pounds in about 45 days.
Wow.
Just doing that.
Yeah.
Not exercising, not doing anything else.
Right.
And it took about, a year or two. The first 3 months were very difficult. And then after that, it's like, piece of cake. I don't care about that. I'm not craving that, right? And after about a year, it smoothed out. Now, 5 years post-discovery, I'm struggling again. There's only so many combinations you can put with chicken.
Right.
And then you're bored out of your brain, right?
Right, it's
and,
true.
And sometimes your brain just needs some carbs because that's what your brain functions on is sugar, and protein takes a long time to convert into sugar.
Right,
and
that's true.
If I go to these things like protein bars, a protein bar is just it's a box of Cheerios all ground up with some chocolate and sugar in it.
It's really true. It's like a candy bar.
It's like a candy bar, and that doesn't help me. So I'm intrigued by this vegetable pea. That doesn't sound right either, does it? Any way you say it, it doesn't sound right.
It's
this pea protein.
It's cranberry rice and PEA protein.
Okay, all right. So now why rice has protein?
Yes, it does.
And you got to stay on the mic. I can't do it.
Sorry.
Right.
You can do brown rice. Brown rice is fine. Like white rice is overprocessed,
right?
And that's a carb that's kind of an empty carb.
Carb's no good, right?
But brown rice is okay.
So people don't realize that vegetables do have protein, and vegetables are what they call complex carbohydrates. A Twinkie is a simple carbohydrate. You put it in your body, boom, turns into sugar.
Right.
Vegetable takes longer.
Right, and no fiber.
And no fiber.
And that's a big thing. The biggest thing that they've done
we talked about that before the show. Talk about the fiber thing.
The fast food industry and everything, all of that, it's so much is about storage.
Yeah, you got to save your food and not lose money.
Yeah, so they want to make up hamburger buns and all that other stuff, and they want to make up a bunch of them. And so if you go to Costco and you get those hamburger buns that are $2.50 for 25 of them, they last a long time. But if you go, they last a really long time. There's fast food. There's things on YouTube where you can find where people have taken fast food hamburgers and just letting them sit for a month, and they won't mold.
No, it's true. It's kind of weird.
Won't mold. So that's because they've taken out the fiber, because the fiber is what makes things mold. So you're taking basically the nutrition aspect of it. Carbohydrates are okay to eat, especially complex carbohydrates are okay to eat if you also include fiber.
Right.
So the biggest problem with the American diet is that fiber is gone. So they're drinking sodas, which is just sugar, no fiber. And so everything, if they're not going to have, or they're drinking orange juice or apple juice, and you've extracted the sweet.
No pulp.
And there's no fiber. So I was telling you, there's this great on YouTube. It has millions of hits, but there's this endocrinologist at UCLA, and he does this talk on the bitter truth. And he talks just about sugar. And he talks about how when sugar comes in without fiber into the body, it's treated like poison. The body just doesn't know what to do with it. So it goes in, it taxes the liver, and if the liver's overwhelmed, it just stores it as fat. It just doesn't know what to do with it.
It's just why we get people that are really gigantic. I mean,
and they're hungry.
They're always hungry.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. I didn't realize that about how sugar just goes right to that.
There's no nutrition value whatsoever. So if you don't have any fiber that's coming in, so you think about all the things, and they say, so an orange is okay to eat, and an apple is okay to eat, because the sweet is in there to make you eat the fiber, because the fiber is what's really important.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because take out the sweet would be a nasty thing to consume.
Right.
Possibly.
Exactly.
That's very interesting.
The poison is wrapped around the antidote. is what he says in his talk. It's really interesting. So
So
they
does
pull
every-
the fiber out of the bread. So
Right.
now all you got is a carbohydrate and you've got gluten. And so people will say, well, gluten, that's just a fad. It is sort of, but because they add so much gluten for storage and because you don't have the fiber to counteract it, people get sensitive to the gluten. And especially kids are eating pizza like 5 times a day. Or
Right.
5 times a week, I should say.
Right.
And some places twice a day because it's a breakfast and a lunch.
Pull that microphone up again. It keeps
Sorry,
drooping.
sorry.
Got to talk right directly.
I
I don't want to
right
miss
in
the
it.
words you're saying.
I know. I'm talking to you,
All right.
so I got to talk to the microphone. I'll turn the microphone and look right at you.
All right, so this
So-
fiber thing, I really never focused on this before. Most things contain fiber, and a lot of people take it out so it doesn't go bad.
Yeah,
it's kind of a
some.
preservative measure.
Yeah, but like when you eat a balanced meal, we used to have like a piece of bread with meal, or
Right.
you have like rice with thing, and that's a fiber. So you're balancing everything out when you eat that balanced meal. But if you're eating like a hamburger from a fast food restaurant and they've taken all the fiber out of the bread,
They have no fiber. There's
Yeah.
no fiber in a lot of the bread that used to be.
right? And then the meat has been either, God knows where it came from because now they're combining all the meats from all over the world and you don't know. And then it's been frozen.
Have you heard about meat glue?
Oh, you mean like the pink slime?
So
and
they
all that?
they
Yeah.
develop something for butchers and restaurants. Jarvis, you're going to love this, all right? It's called meat glue, all right? So they take the blood clotting characteristics from a cow. I guess they we have blood clotting characteristics,
Right.
whatever
Yes,
they
we
call
do.
that, right?
Yeah. The coagulates when you
Coagulates,
bleed.
right?
Yeah.
So
mhm.
they put that in some kind of a a paste or gel or something. So let's
Right.
say you got about 5 or 6 pieces of an end cut sitting around your butcher shop, and they don't look like a steak because they're just a little weird little piece of meat, right?
Yeah.
Well, you put these all in a pan and you put this meat glue in there, and then you let it sit, and it glues all the pieces of meat together, and then you take it out and you have a giant steak, and then you carve it to look like a steak. So if you go to a restaurant and you get a steak that's kind of
nasty.
round, if it's round,
Right.
that's a tip-off they're using meat glue. Because natural steaks aren't round. They're just
Right.
kind of weird little shapes and cuts, right?
Well, that's like steak.
A symmetrical steak in a restaurant is a tip-off they're using meat glue.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, that's like probably, if that's the pink slime they do with chicken nuggets. That's what they were finding that they were doing with chicken nuggets is that they were, cutting them
they have to.
out.
'Cause there's no piece of chicken
Yeah,
that's shaped like that.
shaped like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's like steakums. Remember steakum sandwiches? Those
Yeah.
are probably cut out because those are cut out, those
Yeah.
perfect rectangles.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this is a really important issue. I think a lot of people's crazy is tied to this, literally. I mean, people that are off their nut and have episodes, mood swings, I think it's all tied to sugar. It's all tied to nutrition. It's all tied to all that stuff.
There's so many. Like you look at the kids in high school, and there's so many overweight kids. There's so many kids overweight in my son's middle school, and they shouldn't be.
No.
And on top of the sitting around gaming and not exercising, that doesn't help. But if
I
you're
literally-
not eating well, you know,
I mean, kids exercise less. However, I got a lot of injuries from the police department, crack this and crack that. And I'm very active. I move around a lot. I don't really run and exercise like I should, but I still maintain my weight. I'm 10 pounds off my retirement weight, a policeman, because I don't eat a lot of junk.
right, right.
And
Yeah.
when I do, like last night I did a protection detail for a local radio host here in L.A. And the show started at 7. No, at 6. And I always get there an hour early or hour and a half early just to make sure everything's okay. So I'm not going to have dinner at like 4:30.
Right.
It's just not what I do. So I can't really eat before I go. But then the event went later. It went to like 8:30 or 9. So I didn't eat. And that's not good for me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I started crashing. And when I got home, I literally passed out and fell asleep because my blood sugar was so low.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
So food is so important to people. And I don't think people understand how subtle those things are.
Yeah.
Being tired all the time, worn out, that's not because you're old or because you don't. It's really because of your diet, I think.
Right. You haven't associated it. There's no association. You don't realize that all
Direct
those
connection.
things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis could be something you're eating.
Right.
There's things, and the other thing is like people get away from sugar and then they go on diet sodas. One of the things I find, especially women, they drink a lot of diet soda.
Too much. And it
They'll
has
drink
sodium in
8
it.
to 10 a day. I've run into women who do that. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's addictive. And then, so you have the aspartame, which is the substitute of sugar. No, sugar is better for you than aspartame.
Sugar is better for you. Natural sugar, right?
Yeah. And then it's just caramel coloring. And then the phosphoric acid. In sodas, they put phosphoric acid so they can store it, so the bubbles will stay. And phosphoric acid has been shown to pull calcium out of your bones.
Yes,
and
I've heard that. That's right.
And it keeps you from absorbing it. The United States eats more calcium per capita than any other country in the world, and we have the highest instance of osteoporosis.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that.
And that's probably because we're, of course, the anti-phosphoric acid people can't put together a study. They don't have any money.
Well,
but
I always find that one of the issues is how do we define food, right? And a soda pop, it's not food.
Right.
It's not remotely close to food. I don't even know how much water it has in it. I mean, when you put all the chemicals of these together.
But
right?
it does have a lot of sodium. You're right. It has just
sodium.
Perfect balance of sodium to make you want another one.
So it
quenches your thirst, but not quite.
That's right. It makes you gain weight, by the way. Sodium retention can make you retain water, which can make you heavy, right?
Right. So, it's that processed salt,
You don't know, Jarvis, you don't know you must have a lot of female friends.
Yeah.
See, look at how he says it. Yeah, I do. Look at that. Look at that. Of course he does.
Of course I do.
And don't you know that? Don't you have some that first thing in the mornings I got to get a Diet Coke for breakfast or things like that? It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Let me have a bacon and eggs and Diet Coke. What?
The other issue is I have my sister. She's addicted to Starbucks, like coffee.
Yeah.
She has to have one every day.
That's a good point to bring up a coffee. What's interesting about coffee is that I like coffee, and what I've researched is that in our plan we try to get you off for a month just to kind of get off the addiction.
Off coffee.
Yeah,
right.
But if you think about it, when you get I'm 52, so when you get like halfway through your life, your digestion enzymes all start going away, and you have to take a probiotic or prebiotic. It's help. But you wonder, why is that? Well, most people have a cup of coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and it's really high acid. It's not even really the caffeine. It's a really high acid, drink. So if you had a big glass of water and maybe a protein shake or something for breakfast and then had coffee, your body will process it differently.
Oh, that makes sense.
We literally drink, one or two. I did 1 or 2 cups of coffee every morning on an empty stomach. So, of course, it might kill off all the digestive enzymes.
Doesn't it help you cut the bacon fat out of your stomach, Jarvis? From bacon?
I'm sure.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, but if you mix it with food, that's okay. That's the thing about the balancing and
coffee
things
per
like
se
that.
is not. I mean, coffee has benefits too, right?
It does. But I think it's order. It's how you drink it.
Oh no, it's funny you should say that. I read somewhere and I tested this, and I don't know if it's true or not because we never let facts get on the way of Security Guy Radio's show, right? But let's say it might be a fact.
Fun. They're
no
fun.
fun. The facts are no fun. But I did read that for diabetics, if I eat my proteins first, and then I eat my carbs and complex carbs,
right.
or even if I cheat and have a piece of carrot cake, right? For a birthday party, that your body starts processing, your enzymes start processing that piece of steak or that meat differently because it's a whole different system that needs to break down proteins, much harder to do, right? More difficult.
Right.
And it tends to counteract any spike in blood sugar by doing that way. So in the order in which you consume your food.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of interesting you should say that. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And there's a lot of information out there about how to, order of eating and everything else. But that's why you need to balance things out. Yeah, with sugar, you have to balance out with the proteins, or with the carbohydrates, you have to balance out the proteins. And then you have to make sure that you're getting fiber. Fiber is a big one too.
So what kind of products does your company offer? That
well, we have everything. We have a great digestive enzyme. So when we walk them through the 30-day thing, we start off. It's like a kind of a regular day would be. You start off in the morning, and I do this every morning. I start off with a big glass of water and our Digestion Plus, which is a probiotic, prebiotic, and enzyme, to get the body ready to absorb all the healthy stuff that you eat.
Glass of water in the morning is very, very important. I've read that
and if your body isn't going to absorb everything, then it doesn't matter how much spinach you eat. If your digestion's off, so that sets you up. Then the next thing I do is we have a Detox Tea, which is great. It has milk thistle and stuff like that. And it aids the liver in processing everything. So that starts you off too, so you're ready. And then I have a protein shake, which is the PEA protein. And then I mix that with I can mix that with anything. You can put a little almond butter in there, or you can put some spinach, or however you want to mix it up, some berries.
Is that a powder? The protein shake?
It's really, really great. And it's great for diabetics. They actually formulated it so that diabetics could use it. because it has it's 20 grams of protein. And so it's
How
just
many
a
carbs?
nice.
No
It has very little, 3, I think. 3
Okay,
grams.
all right.
I should know that right off the top of my head, but I don't have my
That's
numbers in me. But I think that's
Again,
it.
facts are important.
It's
It's
really
pretty good
low.
radio.
Yeah, it's really low, but we've had people who are diabetics that really love it.
All right.
And so, and then you have that, and then you try and go the day. You try and not have any snacks until lunch, and then you can have on this 30-day plan. We have you just have another shake either at lunch or at dinner. And then you can have a meal, either lunch or dinner. And then we have recipes. We have a Facebook page. So we walk you through millions of different recipes
So you're not
and
selling,
teach people how to cook
Yeah,
again.
you're not selling pre-boxed food.
No.
I mean, the protein shake's one thing, but I mean,
No,
a lot
yeah.
of these places offer, we're going to have your meals delivered in a box. And to me, that's all processed food.
It is.
To me, it's not food.
It is, and
It's
it's
not food
all
to me.
about calories and everything.
Right.
And we're like, you can eat pretty much, you can eat a lot of food, but we teach you how to make things. It's amazing how people start our Facebook page and they'll say, well, this will be interesting for me because I don't eat vegetables.
Well, what's
And
interesting
you're
about
like,
my diet
no
is
vegetables at all?
I know people that do that.
Yeah.
They won't. I don't get it.
None at
well,
all.
that's
Yeah.
all I can eat, really, that and
Yeah.
protein. But I find that following my diet, I eat a lot of food. I mean, I don't eat just have a little, little teeny little portion of chicken and a couple beans.
Yeah.
I eat a lot, but it's a certain type of food. So I tend to be full. And I tend between meals, I don't tend to get hungry too
Right,
often.
right, because you've nourished yourself.
Because if you eat
Yeah.
junk, it just burns up right away. Then you're starving. It's like
Right.
the old Chinese food joke. It's true because Chinese food has a lot of sugar in it, by the way.
Yeah.
Tons of Chinese
Yeah.
food has sugar in it.
Yeah, and salt. Yeah.
So I get that point. That makes a lot of sense. And I like the idea that you have recipes that teach people how to cook because people don't know how to cook anymore.
We'd love it if you got to the end of the month and you didn't eat our products at all, kind of,
Right.
because that means that you're eating a healthy breakfast, a healthy lunch, and all that. But if you, what happens is that people get busy, and so they like to have shakes and stuff on hand. So afterwards, usually they reorder shakes, and then we have a great thing called a fizz stick, which is a green tea caffeine.
I think they need a couple other words in marketing here.
What do you mean?
Pea protein, fizz sticks.
Fizz
I mean, I
sticks.
don't know. It could mean a lot of things.
Well, they're great though. The fizz sticks, they're really good. But anyway, people really, but they have and that's another thing. My son's up at college and he uses the fizz sticks because it keeps him awake and focused. But yet it's healthy because it's B vitamins and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
B vitamins are important. Like
the kids in college, they sell the kids who are on Adderall. The ADD medication, they
that's
sell
terrible
it.
stuff.
They sell it to the other kids to stay up during
I know.
midterms and finals. They sell
it's
it.
terrible.
And so my son was saying to me, he goes, I don't want to take this stuff, but everybody else is wide awake and I'm exhausted. And I said, you need to try those fizz sticks.
Well, one
and
reason
he loves
my
them.
son's the same way. You know why they're exhausted? Because they eat a bunch of crap in the cafeteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their cafeteria does not have very good food. I'm paying $50,000 a year for his college, and $8,000 of that is food or
That's
something, right?
One thing
And
about
it's junk.
Oregon, University of Oregon, they actually have really good food. And
Oh,
my
that's good.
son, my son's he's very particular. So I'm proud of that. My second son, not so much, but at least at home he eats healthy.
Well, 1 out of 2 is not bad.
Yeah, right. What are you gonna do?
Sally, this has been really, really fascinating. So give us your
Fun.
website, how we can get a hold of you, and
I'm Sally Hallada at .arbonne.com. And I like to prep everybody before. So they have to watch a video. They get a sample pack. We don't just want you to buy things.
Right.
So if you email me and say you'd like interested, the guests here, I'll add a extra bag of protein shakes from your listeners.
Oh, that's good.
But I want to walk them through and make sure they really want to do it
Right.
before. But I'll throw that in if they end up doing the
What's your
the
email
30
address?
day. It's Sally Hallada at sbcglobal.net.
SPC Global.
Yep,
That's an
the
old one.
old one.
I still have one. I still got
I
that.
keep waiting for them to tell me to get rid of it.
Well, Jarvis says AOL, so
Yeah, I
that
do.
shows
Yeah,
you how
that
old he is.
is-
So
You've got mail.
Oh, Sally, thanks for coming in to Security Guy Radio. It's been a
Thank
lot of
you
fun.
so
And,
much. This was
people
fun.
pay attention to this. I mean, all my guards out there, you're eating junk on graveyard shift, and you wonder why you're asleep. It's because you're eating a bunch of junk. So try to eat more healthily. Healthily? Is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is now.
we make one now.
And look at your skincare and taking care of your skin because that's your largest organ, and
It is.
you need to take care of it. All right.
is.
Until
Thank
next
you.
week, we'll see you later. Good night from Security Guy Radio.